Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Voices of the Industry brought to you by the AI Localization Think Tank. Today, I am joined here by Kenneth Nielsen, who is a Danish freelance translator with more than 25 years of experience in the translation industry. I first met Kenneth, I think it was 2-3 years ago, when he reached out to me on LinkedIn after an AI webinar that I gave for Gala. And since then, we have been exchanging ideas and discussing what all is happening in the industry, especially the changes that we are both observing. And Kenneth is one of those really curious and forward-thinking translators who very closely follow the developments in the profession and know how to adapt to them. He's very active on LinkedIn. You can follow him, travels to conferences and presents. And since I've been following, I noticed a few weeks ago that you, Kenneth, actually posted a very interesting post where you shared that you have had the best financial month of the past year. April was the best financial month for you. And I was a bit surprised to see such a statement coming from a freelance translator because we usually hear the exact opposite.
That was
So
kind of the
let's
purpose,
start with
so I'm
that.
happy you saw that.
Yes. Yeah, so tell us more about that. What happened in April? What was the change that made it so successful financially? What kind of job did you get? Was it like the usual post editing and let's find all the mistakes that the machine introduced, or was it something more exciting?
Well, post-editing is there, and it is still a part of what we're doing and what I'm doing and what I have been doing for a while and probably also what I will be doing. But I'm seeing this trend that things are coming back. I am getting more um, like old-fashioned jobs. I mean, I've started to getting like press releases, for example, that and I think I'm being told it is you are under any not under any circumstances allowed to use AI to do this. And what I think is that it's because it comes from some of it comes from a CEO, for instance, and there could be sensitive info, but also my feeling is that they want to make sure that they sound human because we can all see AI slop from a mile away now. So people have realized this, and maybe these people they have gone through some of the things they've said before. But this is not what I said. This doesn't sound like me. People will not believe me. People will not believe that I actually care about our product. So or our clients, even worse. So we need to have people to do this. Maybe it takes a bit longer, but then again, it's a press release. It doesn't take that much longer. And that's what people are also finding out, I think, that it's not necessarily that much faster to go through AI. Um, if it's like 500 words or something, it is, I mean, it is faster to have me do it straight away than having to prompt your way through everything. I can do it faster and better. Um, and also, I think that I do a lot of creative things, but because I think people are starting again, they're realizing that it doesn't sound right. I mean, it can be right. I mean, what it says, technically, it's correct. There are no typos or anything, but I mean, it's not the message doesn't go through. People are starting to realize that we have done our whole website in English now, and but we see the people are not clicking around anymore because again they see that it's AI maybe, so they just go there and say, well, if the client doesn't, if this company doesn't care, why should I care? So I go somewhere else. So people don't get to the checkout. They don't buy anything. They don't get to the contact form. So people they want a human voice, and people are starting to I mean, the worst of the hype is over. I think people are starting to realize there is actually a difference between what AI does. It may be correct. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but sometimes it is. But it's still not. I mean, it's not what you say; it's how you say it. You know?
Yes, yes. So you just said so many things. Let's start
Yeah. I'm sorry.
unpacking
That's
it because
that's what
AI
happens.
says, right, that's my
Feel
favorite
free to stop me
word.
at any time.
That's good. So So one of the important topic you touched upon was what I call, and everybody else actually, AI slop, right? And the
Exactly.
fact that people have become more sensitive and they have developed more acute AI slop detectors. So when they actually detect AI generated content, they basically don't trust it anymore. right? So they
Exactly.
want to have the human warranty, the fact that a human has actually touched that, so that they keep their attention on the text, so they trust the text, and so that they feel that whoever produced that text or that web page cares enough about it, so that it actually means that the owner cares
Cares not
about the
about it, and
users
also
and the
cares
people.
enough about them. I mean, if you want me to
Precisely.
buy something, and if I'm buying a cruise somewhere, and you're telling me you should buy this and you should buy these excursions, I need to believe that you think that I will actually have a good time, and that you
Right, but
actually care.
yeah, but here is a trend towards actually users going less to the actual web pages that contain the content. So I'm observing it myself, on the pages of our own AI localization think tank, tracking, how many users we have on a weekly basis. I noticed that more and more the visits are actually done by AI agents.
Right.
So I start wondering, luckily we still have a lot of readers of our content in human form, but now AI visits have actually surpassed the number of human visits. So the question is, now I'm playing a bit devil's advocate, or I don't know who's advocate, but let me ask you what you think about it. If we reach a moment when web pages are actually produced not for human consumption, but for the consumption by AI agents, right? Do we need to care that much about the language? Could that be a reason why so many content producers actually generate page content using AI entirely in enormous numbers of such pages, so that they cater for AI agents?
But I think, of course, there is a point because I mean, AI is good for many things, and one of the things it's good for is it can produce a lot in no time. Um, but there will still, in my opinion, there will still need people, need to be human experts in there to see, does this actually make sense? And I get it that most of the readers are at your website are AI. Um, and I'm sure that there can be some good things in that as well, because then it will link to other places. But at some point, it will attract people in there, and they will be reading it, and it will be important for them that they understand what it says, and that they, because if people go to the AI tank, the think tank, like I do sometimes, it's typically because you want to learn something, and something you don't understand, something you're curious about, and you want to have like a human, or at least feel that there's a human like yourself who is explaining this in a way that I can understand in my words, and that I can use when I talk to my clients, because sometimes I also, when I reach out to old clients or new clients, then they tell me, well, we've been told by our boss to use AI. Uh, we don't really, but we don't know how to do it. I mean, and use AI is not a strategy. I mean,
No. Yes.
that's just an order. That's an instruction. So I can say, well, you can use AI and you can use it for some things, but there are other things that you can't use it for. And for me, I mean, as a freelancer, we need to level up and to follow what's going on. AI is not going to disappear. And it shouldn't. I mean, it's good for many things. I use it for inspiration. I would never do an AI translation as such, but I use it for inspiration when I'm working. Is there a synonym for this, or could you write this in another way? Or if I'm doing keywords and have like 30 character limitation, could you write this within 30 characters? And all those, or if I'm writing something just to get, and I have this blank piece of paper, how do I get started on this? And then I said, can you write like 200 words about the pyramids? And then it says something, well, I can't use any of this, but I see where you're going, and then I can
Yes.
work from there.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So let me stop you here, because a kind of a constant theme in what you say is learn learn, right?
Mm.
And you have managed to learn how to work with AI and learn where AI brings value and know where it doesn't bring value and so on. So I believe that is part of your success, your ability to learn and the effort you put in staying informed by following all those channels and educating yourself. So if you are to condense this into, let's say, a piece of advice for your colleagues, what would you recommend as a skill where it makes sense investing into developing it? Like, what knowledge do translators need to acquire, new kind of knowledge, so that they are successful in the current industry with all the tools available?
Well, I think that basically stay curious and stay proactive and accept that this is here, whether you like it or not. If you want to stay in business, you have to 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 work with it in some way. If you just say, I am not ever going to use AI, some people will be able to manage. It depends on your jobs as well. But for most of us, it will be there. And it is something that we have to deal with in one way or another. So what I would say, get some basic knowledge. I mean, start doing some maybe take a course in prompt engineering. You have made an online. There are loads of online courses. They take, maybe you can do it in half an hour, and especially if you're not that busy at the moment, spend the time on learning what's going on. Do some experiments. I mean, it doesn't have to be big and fancy. Learn some. There are differences between the different AI engines as well. It's not just AI. Take the same article and run it through like Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude, and see the same article. What comes up? What are because the output will be different in those three. So what can I use Gemini for? What can I use Claude for? And that
Right.
kind of thing. And so also when you talk to your clients, because they don't necessarily know either, and maybe they know about AI, but they don't know about translation. So you could just explain to them, where does translation come in what you're looking for? And when your boss is telling you use AI, what kind of AI can you use? I mean, I've been working with AI or AI kind of things. I mean, all translators who've been in the business for a while, we've been working with with this kind of technology or similar technology for decades. I mean, this is not new. AI is not new for us. Maybe some of it is, but using technology, we've been done. We've been doing. I mean, you said I've been in the industry for 25 years. I've been using it for 25 years. I mean, ever since I got out of uni, I've been using technology in some way or another. It's getting more and more, but we've all been using it, and we've all been adapting to it along the way. The thing is that now it is AI. Normal people can see and
Exactly.
understand, where before, I mean, some of the things has been very narrow. It's been like you and me and people in the industry talking about neural MT and stuff. And I mean, people who are not in the industry, they have no idea what neural MT is, and they don't necessarily have to. But for AI, it's easy for them, and they can make a prompt and they can get some sort of output. So that makes this hype more
Exactly.
hypey
Exactly.
than
Exactly.
some
I
of the
mean,
others.
to summarize it, clients before 10 years ago, for example, never thought that they have the translation available at the tip of their fingers, whereas now they believe that, oh, yeah, we can implement an AI solution in-house, do all the translations ourselves
And it
because
looks
AI
very
is just so,
convincing at the
yeah,
first glance. I mean, it happened with Google Translate as well when that came out. But then when people ran through, well, this is not useful. But
exactly.
AI looks useful, especially if you don't know what you're looking for. I mean, it is the more you get into it, the more you find out that, well, this is not exactly what it says, and this is not exactly accurate. And one of the examples I use sometimes is when I talk to people, well, AI can just do translation now, can it? I say, well, it can, but it's not very good at it. It's good at some things, but it's not very good at it. And they don't understand it. But then when I talk to their field, was talking to a math professor like a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago. And he said, well, translation, everything could just be translated now. So, well, it can't. It's not that good. And then I asked him back, like being the devil's advocate, as you said before, is ChatGPT good at math? And he's no, it's
Yes,
terrible at math. You can't use it for
exactly.
math. But it's exactly the same thing, because you know about math, so you know that it doesn't work. Sometimes the result is right. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes the proof is right, but the result is wrong, and the opposite. You can't trust it, and if you can't trust it, does it have any value? And
Yes,
it's the
this
same with
was
like
very nicely. Let me just interrupt you. Sorry. This, what you just described, was very nicely summarized in a LinkedIn post. I don't remember who posted it, so I cannot give credit. Basically, it was summarized along the lines of AI excels in any domain except the one you are an expert in.
exactly. That's
That
exactly
is,
it.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
cannot
That's
agree more
exactly my
with that.
point, just in 2 lines instead of me ranting.
Yes, yes. So, back to your experimentation with AI. I experimented with AI in Danish as well. I had a particular use case where I concluded that AI actually wasn't particularly good. You maybe remember chatting about that. You know,
I
we
do,
were
yeah.
converting from informal to no, from formal to informal address, and formal address in Danish is very, very rare. Okay, so there probably wasn't enough training data to allow the models to learn about that. But from your experimentation, what would you say about the Danish capabilities of current state-of-the-art large language models? Danish is a relatively small language, right? It
It
has about
is.
6 million speakers, so I assume there isn't that many training data available. So are those models good at Danish or not so good?
I don't think that, I mean, it depends, as always. I mean, sometimes it's good, but the thing is I mean, Danish is a small language, but we write a lot, and it's a very like
It's a,
educated. So there,
yeah,
in that
yes,
way, it's not like, I mean, because you have bigger languages with less data because
of course.
if you go to Africa, for instance, I mean, a lot of them they have their full blown languages, and 100 million people are speaking them, but it's all oral, so they don't have it written down. So
Yes,
that's another issue. We actually
yes,
have training data. Um, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but it struggles with basic things like if like gender. I mean, we have two genders in Danish, um, common and neuter, and there is not necessarily a system. You need to know. And AI doesn't know anything, and it's
yes,
very very obvious if you say if the gender is wrong. If you say in hus, everybody. I mean, every
yes.
child will see this is wrong. It's it
Yes.
whos. Why? But it just is. I mean, and you need a human. It doesn't even have to be a human expert, but you need a human. Another thing I recognize is that the Scandinavian languages, Danish and Swedish and Norwegian, they're very close. But
Yes.
AI doesn't always recognize the difference. So, I mean, if you have a word like tak, which means thank you, it's the same word in Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish, but we spell it in 3 different ways.
Yes.
It sounds the same and it's the same word. The meaning is exactly the same, but we spell it in 3 different ways. So sometimes when you see a text, all of a sudden there's a Swedish word in there or a Norwegian word with
Right.
like double consonants or something, and it's so obvious. And those are the most. Then there's all the hallucination and stuff, but that's a different issue. These are basically wrong. I mean, by any means. Um,
That's funny. So AI models speak Danish the way I do. I studied
oh,
Danish,
you're
Swedish,
better
and
than some
Norwegian,
of them.
and it's such a mix in my head at the moment that I actually do mix them. So I always say I speak Scandinavian. Right. So obviously, you know, we both agree that AI models do not excel at, say, Scandinavian languages, Danish in particular. So one hypothesis one could entertain is that you have clients who basically prohibit you from using AI because AI doesn't do a good job in Danish, right? So you are in that sweet spot where AI models don't perform so well, but the language and the
Sometimes, yeah.
markets are still large enough to be of interest to clients. So that's the perfect combination. So do you think that in larger languages, for example, in the Spanish market or German market, where AI models arguably perform much better, translators, freelance translators wouldn't be so fortunate like you are? You know, clients think, oh yeah, AI can do it at a high level. So do you think that parts of your uh, success, I would say, lies in the fact that you are a Danish translator? Or you think that this is just the realization of clients, no matter the language, that AI produces bland, kind of sloppy language that feels plastic, and they purposefully go for the human element?
I think there's several things in it. I mean, I think there is, and I'm guessing now, there is a cultural thing about how willing you are to accept whatever comes out. You said Spanish. I know some people who worked with Spanish, and they seem Spanish and Portuguese, including Brazilian Portuguese. For some reason, to me, it sounds like it's harder for them. People are more inclined in those markets or cultures to go through. And maybe the quality is fine, but when I ask them, is the quality, because yeah, and they say the same thing and that I just told you. Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but you never know. But I
Mm-hmm.
also have friends and colleagues who work with German and French, and they seem to be doing okay. Again, ups and downs, like all of us. I mean, I have ups and downs too. I mean, this as my post about April, which was really good. I mean, that comes after like last year, where the first half of last year I had a hard time. I lost big clients, and I had to rebrand and look at how I was doing things, because I've been in this for a long time, and I've been fortunate. People have always come to me because I mean there are not that many people. I mean there are a lot of translators, but I actually have the education, and I have a network, and I have all the fancy papers, and the price isn't that much different. So why not use him? Um, but it comes after that, and it's taken, so I had to rebrand things, and that's what is starting to pay off now. But I mean, it took, the second half was okay, and then the first half, it's starting to get back to
Yeah.
normal.
Okay, there are two questions that I want to ask you now, and I'm really torn how to prioritize. Let me ask you first, like the less personal question and less, let's say, controversial question. Um, and is the following. So you say that there was a period, beginning of last year, where when you lost clients, now there seems to be a revival of clients' interest in having work done by humans, especially when it's smaller volumes where AI doesn't pay off so much. So what do you think was the reason that you lost those clients last year? Was it that this was the peak of the AI hype? Was it because they decided they can just do it on their own and they don't need other translators, they don't need to outsource? And what do you think brought clients back?
Well, it was because of AI, because what I did, I mean, I had like a system where I had like three pillars. I had two big agencies, or two big LSPs, and then
Mhm,
I had a
mhm,
third pillar
mhm.
with direct clients. And as
I
long as
see.
just two of them was there, I would be fine. But
I
then one
see.
of my agencies started using more AI and slashing prices
Okay.
and measuring quality in speed and price. I asked them, what is happening? Why are you not using me anymore? Because they were a big client, and I
Mhm,
earned quite a lot of money. So what's going? Is it because I'm not? Have I done something wrong? Do you
mhm,
see
mhm.
any? Is my quality worse? Have I said something to offend you? What is going on here? We need to
Yeah.
understand and be open. And that's, well, it's corporate decisions, and they just, and
Yes.
then when we talk about quality, we measure quality in different ways, and translators, you know how we are. You know a lot of translators, and we are kind of divas, and we think we're doing art, but this particular agent, well, I want to be honest with you. We measure in price and we measure in speed. So a
Yes.
translator who is doing 4,000 words a day is twice as good as a translator doing 2,000 words a day. Of
Oh
course,
my
it's
goodness.
bollocks,
Yes.
but
Yes.
that's the point. And if you
Right.
if you charge 10 cent and we can get another one who will charge us 5 cent and the customer doesn't complain, that
Right.
other translator is better than you from our opinion. We know that you are linguistically better, but they are better for us, which is fair
I
enough.
understand.
Then I understand, and I can agree with it or not, but I am not there to tell them what to do. Then I
Yeah.
had some
So,
direct.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So, just a question. How do you, I always wondered, how do this, I would say, elite translators like you, right? Translators with 25 years of experience who have studied translation, have all the papers, and deliver impeccable quality. How do you, plural, feel about those translators who can do 4,000 words a day, who can do 8,000 words a day, who don't have perhaps education as translators, they just happen to be fluent bilinguals and so on, and who now seem to be getting more jobs than the educated elite translators? I always wondered about that. So today I dare ask that in public.
Well, I mean, you don't have to have an education to be a good translator. I mean, if you stay in your line, I mean, if you know a lot about math, for example, I'm not very good at math, but if you are going to translate a math thesis, maybe someone who is just bilingual is
Right.
better at that particular job than or if you're translating children's literature, you don't necessarily have to be a professional non-fiction translator for
Right.
that. So you can definitely do that.
Yeah.
And if you are fine, I mean, if you are fine, because those people who are translating like 4,000, they are also getting paid less. And if you are fine with that, and if the client is fine with that, well, then I have to accept it.
But aren't you
Because
afraid of the skilling? I mean, aren't you afraid that the art
I
is
am.
gonna disappear?
Absolutely, and not just in translation. It's in all kind. I mean, the more we trust, I mean, critical thinking, analytical thinking, is becoming a problem in all fields. And translation is just one of them. Now we're talking translation because that's where we are. But I'm super worried about de-skilling across the whole board, basically. But I
Yes.
also think that we will always need to have some people who actually know the craft, who knows why, and that's, you can say this is wrong, but I can tell you why it's wrong. And we need people who we need electricians who can install things without looking at AI and see if something goes wrong, and who can see things, potential problems before they arise. And that's also a thing we can do. I mean, if you're a professional translator or language expert, I said, I'm calling myself a language expert now because I'm doing much more than translation. In my heart, I'm a translator. I will always be a translator. But when I talk to clients and potential clients, I call myself a language expert because that's what people are looking for. They think that they can do translation, so they will just make AI do that. But we need an expert to check that what we're actually doing is still valid. So what I could, I mean, if there is a potential problem, I can see that in advance. And also, what I can do is I can go in and I can look at the source text and ask back because I mean sometimes the text is badly written, and AI will not know, so they will just output anything. But if I
Yes.
read something and I say, well, what you're writing there is this and that. I think you mean this and that, but you're actually writing something else. So which one is right? So I can make the correct translation. And AI cannot do that. It cannot preempt those things that humans can.
No. No, no, no. I cannot agree more that translators nowadays are not just translators, but language specialists, because I think they've been that for a very long time, because translation is just a component in the entire process where you also
Exactly.
have the evaluation of the source, the terminology, knowing the style guide rules and applying them where it makes sense and disregarding them where they don't make sense, and knowing where to have exceptions. All of that is part of the entire process, and the actual conversion from language A to language B is just a little part of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes a
Yes.
bit back to what I said before, and we've been talking about this. When you see these surveys that translators are one of the most exposed industries
Yes. Yes.
in the whole AI sphere. One of the things I why I think they write that is because, as I said before, people don't really know what translation is about, what is involved. Even my close family still don't really get the difference between translation and interpretation. I mean, it is
Oh, yeah.
that's where it is. But at the same time, when you say, first of all, exposure is not the same as extinction. But when you look at translation, the same people who make these surveys about which which professions are most exposed, who will write translation in the top 5 or 10. Then they have another survey on the next page. What are the core skills? What are the things you need to know as a worker in today's environment? And then it says things like creative thinking, cultural awareness, empathy, analytical thing, all those things that are the exact things we're doing, but they just don't make the connection between translation and those things.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, simply because they're looking as translation as a component. One of the tasks of
They think
translators
translation is
do.
just you put something in and you have like horse, and then in French it's cheval, and that you have a translation. I mean, it's not how it works.
Yes, yes. But okay, let me ask another question that I've always wanted to ask, and today I let my heart out, and that is the following. So many people think that it's enough that you speak two languages and you can be a translator, right? Because you know how to convert from one to the other. If you're an expert in a particular field, like your example for the translator who will translate a thesis in math, right? That's an additional, component to that. But there are people who actually studied translation for 5 years. And if you think that translation is simply being bilingual and converting from one language to the other, the question is like, what do you study for 5 years at the university, right? What is this extra knowledge and practice that actually makes you an educated translator? And since I haven't studied translation, and I have only like occasional contact with translation studies where I'm kind of teaching about AI, can you tell me, when you studied to be a translator, which I assume you did, what did you learn there that went beyond, the language proficiency?
Well, I learned. I mean, you can be perfectly bilingual without being a good translator because you can't make that bridge. You just see the thing, and you can communicate, and everything is fine. But if you have to convert a language to another, then there are so many more things that you have to consider. You have to consider target groups, and there are different genres. It's different if you do creative translation, if you do financial translation, if you do legal, if you do medical. There are all kinds of different tools and thought processes that you should engage in before you start those things. Then there's a cultural awareness. You have to it being translated. I mean, one of the things that makes you a good translator is experience. And it takes a while. So I mean, that is also one of the things when you. Like, I had 5 years where just did loads of so I built up that experience that you don't have if you just. I mean, I've been an au pair in London or something, and I've always liked languages, and I'm fluent, and I
Yes.
can speak to everyone about everything. But you can't as soon as it becomes professional, and especially when it becomes written. People who are bilingual, they're usually good at speaking, but they're not necessarily that good at writing, even in
Yes.
their native language. I mean, I'm sure it's the same for all languages. People, they speak fluent, they're native speakers, but I would not trust them to write anything professional that had any meaning. So
Yeah.
there is all that.
Especially in Danish, which, as we know, is the best kept secret of Europe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you make me regret actually that I didn't study translation, because the way you describe it is very interesting, as learning how to build bridges in different types of text, different genres for different target audience. So that sounds very
One of the things
fascinating.
when I talk to people who are not qualified or trained translators, they do not think of basic things like the target group. That is the first thing I'm thinking of. If you ask me to translate this, then the first thing, who am I translating this for? But
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not even I'm well, I am aware because now I'm telling, but it's part of the whole process. I have this text. What is it about? Who is it for? Because there is a difference if I write it to you or or some friends or somebody who don't know the Danish. The target group is different, and that could mean that I should change my own translation. Sometimes there are other genres like legal or some, where it's super important that you have like a word by word by word by word or technical translation. Like technical translation is a better example. If you have a manual, it doesn't necessarily need to flow, and it doesn't have to be prose, and you don't need to get a literature prize for that. The more important thing that is use exactly the same terminology. So those are different genres, and those are the things that you become aware of, and that you just because you have the experience and you've done so many of them during your education that
Yes.
it's just it's part of your method.
Yes, and aren't you concerned that this very experience can be encoded in a very sophisticated prompt and actually allow AI to know how to handle creative and legal and technical, right? So, have you thought that it might be possible to extract that very specialized knowledge in a crystallized form and actually bake it into an elaborate prompt and give that knowledge to an AI model?
Well, first of all, they would need someone to tell them to make that prompt.
So that's
And
the language specialist. That's
that's
you.
the language specialist who actually knows these things and can explain why those things are. Um, so that's the first part where we come in. And then you can make this elaborate prompt. And maybe, I mean, any translation I can do, I'm sure that I could prompt a
Right.
translation that was just as good, but it would take me longer, and I
Exactly.
could not necessarily be sure that now I have spent a week doing this fancy prompt, and I got this brilliant translation of a user handbook or a car manual, whatever, and then here comes another user handbook for another car, but it's still so I'll just use that prompt, and it just fails. You can't use it for the same thing, so you're not starting over, but you need someone to monitor because you cannot count on one prompt just being one size
Yes.
fits all.
So, do you imagine your daily work actually transforming from doing translations, like working with the words for the source text, into becoming a prompt engineer, basically, and just creating elaborate prompts to be applied to to produce massive amounts of translation?
I think I'm not doing that now. I think that there will be more like that. Maybe not prompt engineering, but working together with the client, or maybe the end client, with the engineering team to give some example and test, does this actually work? Now we made these tweaks. Does it actually work? Does it actually do what we asked it to? And then you can get back in some. But then again, you need someone who knows the actual craft and who can speak about languages in linguistic language. You know what I mean?
I know
I mean,
what you mean very well
it's
because
a professional jargon. So if I need
yes,
to give an order, I mean, you need to know what uh, formal, informal addresses, as we talked before, and gender.
precisely.
You need to talk about these, and you need to know what they are. Whereas if you're just normal bilingual or really good at two languages,
Yes,
you may not know these things. You know, maybe you know what's right and wrong, but you can't explain it,
exactly.
and you don't see, like we talked about before, this pre. I can see that if this is what you want, there could be a problem in this or that because that is an issue that is often there, or that is something that machine translation was never really good at, and there's no reason to believe that AI will be good at it either because there are some nuances that are exceptions. So
Exactly.
you can't predict them. So
Right.
and that's again. I mean, you have the AI is it predicts and its probability and its statistics, but you don't have the certainty. You need the human person in there to, is this actually right? It's probably right, but is it actually right? Or maybe like 90% of it is right, but 10% is wrong. And it sounds good, but 10% wrong is a lot. I mean,
Yes.
10% of a text that is completely off is a lot. It doesn't sound like much, but it's terrible.
Right, right. Plus, there are really the inherent limitations of AI. So, again, going back to our earlier example of gender, we've been doing experimentation trying to have AI models detect gendered language. Also, when it comes to inanimate objects, in some languages, Danish has neutrum, right, utrum, but languages like Spanish, where you have masculine, feminine, right? You want to make sure that when you write to users, you are not excluding your the women from your user base, right, by
Absolutely.
addressing them with the masculine default. So we were trying to use AI models to detect sentences that exclude kind of the female user base or female customers, and this was applied also onto segments that had inanimate objects. So I don't know, in Spanish, fuerza, force, would be an inanimate feminine noun, right? To which AI will say, oh, it is like it has a feminine gender bias because it could not distinguish the grammatical gender from the semantic gender. It just cannot draw a line between those two, whereas the human knows or bridge is masculine, X is feminine. It says nothing about their actual gender identity. It's just
Exactly.
an accident, a linguistic accident.
And that's kind of what we
AI
talked about
models
before.
absolutely cannot do that. So
So that's what we
it's an
talked about.
inherent
You need
limitation.
to be able to speak the language that the models will understand or can, because otherwise you can't make those fancy prompts. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, we could go into all the linguistic glory detail. I would love to talk with you about all those little things
Me
that
too.
AI cannot do in Danish and other Scandinavian languages, but we will unfortunately have to wrap up. So, as your last message to your colleagues, right? Let's finish with that. Like, what advice would you give to them? How should they reshape their approach? You mentioned already that you're not considering yourself a translator, but a language specialist. You're
I
doing
am
also
considering myself a
marketing.
translator. I'm just calling myself
You're
professionally a language
branded.
specialist.
You branded yourself as a language. Okay,
In my
so
heart, I'm still a translator, always will be.
yes. So what would be your condensed advice to them beyond go learn and be curious, which we take for granted? It's a human feature. Yeah. So what steps can they take to make their situation better and their job more fun?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you need to, I mean, having fun is part of it. But you also have to remember that you're running a business. Not everything you do is necessarily fun. It's not every job I do that. Some of the jobs I do are just bread and butter. You need to be able to find your purpose. And if you're thinking of the days where you got a translation, a blank piece of paper, and you want everything to be like that, well, maybe it is time to reconsider going somewhere else or doing something, because this is not where we are going. There will still be work for you, but the old-fashioned translation, it will still be there, but post editing and those things will be more and more. I'm quite sure, and you need to be able to I can see myself. I still want to make sure that whatever comes out in Danish is as good as possible, and I can help with that. So that's kind of my purpose. It's more. I enjoy it more if I'm translating it myself. But the most important thing is that whatever comes out to the Danish users
Mm-hmm,
is the
mm-hmm.
best quality it can be under the circumstances. So that's where I find my purpose, and that is why I can still work with AI and I can still work with post editing, even though sometimes it's just, well, here we go again. And sometimes it's just, it seems like it's just a way to pinch pennies or a way to make sure that they can say that they have someone to blame.
Right.
but
Right.
but I would say that so be curious and all. I mean, we've talked a lot about the like hard skills now. You have to learn and you have to take courses. I also want to say one of the things that I have used. There's this in a think tank. Veronica Heilack. She has this Hey AI YouTube. Which is brilliant for people like me who are interested but not super technical. She's more pro AI. Um, and but she has this Hey AI where she explains things. I mean, she's really good at taking
She's
current
phenomenal.
trends. She is amazing. She's smart, she's funny, and she's amazing at explaining things in ways that normal people can understand. So both you understand, but also you can use the points. So when you're talking to your clients, you can talk to them in a language that they will understand as well, just by repeating her points. That's kind of another thing. I just wanted to mention it now we have it. But also remember the soft skills. People do business with people. Be nice, be positive, um, be constructive. See, what is it you're actually looking for? And how, as I said, people prefer to do business with people, and you're running a business.
Thank you, Kenneth. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for so generously giving your time to our listeners, those who watch us on YouTube. I hope that you learned a lot through this conversation. Go follow Kenneth Nielsen on LinkedIn. He posts very interesting thoughts on LinkedIn. Follow him where he travels to conferences. And we hope to have you soon again, maybe for some other episode. And until then, I wish you all the best. Looking forward to
You
seeing
too,
what
and
comes
thanks for
next from
having
you.
this think tank.
Thank
This
you.
is another really good thing to follow.
Thank you. Yes, do follow the think tank. We will
Exactly.
add in the comments all the links that were mentioned today. So thank you for staying with us until the end. Take care. See you soon again.
See you, Manila.